Yamunatira Panashanti Yamunatira Panashanti Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Punjabi Hari Gopi Jana Balava Giridharadham Jana Balava Giridharadham Gopi Jana Balava Giridharadham Yasodanandana Bhajatana Ramachandra Yasodanandana Bhajatana Yamunatira Panachari Yamunatira Panachari Jaya Madhava Punjabi Hari Jaya Radha Madhava Punjabi Hari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Hare Krishna Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Ram Hare Ram Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Hare Ram Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Jai Om Vishnu Pada Paramahamsa Hari Rajakacharya Ashtataya Saraswati Sri Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavinda Ki Namacharya Sharidasa Thakur Ki Prem Shri Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shri Vasadi Gaur Bhaktivedanta Ki Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shama Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Ganga Maya Ki Yamuna Maya Ki Tulasi Deva Ki Bhakti Deva Ki Samaveta Bhaktivinda Ki Lord Chaitanya's Harinama Sankirtanam Ki Brihat Madangam Ki Shri Prabhupada Ki Shri Panchatattva Ki Shri Radha Madhava Ki Go Premanandi. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru Guranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Ki Namah Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvasesha Samyavadi Pastachade Shatarine. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Welcome everyone this morning. You've come from a long way, Marikina. Thank you for coming in. And today we're reading Srimad Bhagavatam. Oh, the killing of the demon, Aghasura. This is we're very fortunate because these are the last, let's say, words of Srila Prabhupada, which he directly gave us in his translation and commentary on Srimad Bhagavatam, these last two chapters. Chapter 12. Which verse are we on?
10, 12, 21.
You have it on the screen, do you?
Yes.
You could make, that's great. I was going to say you could make it bigger. Text 21, well, there is no purport for several verses. And, let's see. Anyway, we'll see where we go with this one. Will the demon be killed? We may even kill the demon Agasura this morning. Let's see. It would be good to get rid of him. For sure. You want to go and get my computer? Well, maybe. I can't remember if I've still got my notes on the computer or not. Perhaps you've seen, there have been courses on the killing of the demons in Krishna Lila. All these demons represent certain anarthas in our hearts. And we might hear about that later. Let's see. Text number 21. Please repeat. Patispadete. Sorry. Patispadete. Strikabyam. Strikabyam. Savya asavye. Naga udare. Tunga Shringa Alayaha Api Etat Tatang Strabihi Etak Tat Dang Shrabihi Cha Pasyata Patispardete Svikabyang Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shringalayo Pietas Tad Dang Shtrabishcha Pashyata Patispardete Shrikabyam Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shringalayo Pietas Tadang Strabishcha Pashyata Patispardete Shrikabyam Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shringalayo Pietas Tadang Strabishcha Pashyata
Patispardete Shrikabyam Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shringalayo Pietas Tadang Strabishcha Pashyata
Pratisparditi Sirkavyam Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shingala Yopitas Adam Sravischa Pashata Pratisparditi Sirkavyam Savya Savyena Godare Tunga Shingala Yopitas Adam Sravischa Pashata.
Okay. I have notes on it. Well, tomorrow we may read more, but let me have something here on this pastime. Word for word. Pratispardete. Just resembling. Shrikabhyam. With the corners of the mouth. Savya asavye. Left and right. Naga udare. Caves of a mountain. Tunga Shringa Alayaha. The high mountain peaks. Api. Although it is so. Hetakta Dangstrabihi. They resemble the teeth of the animal. Cha. And Pashyata. Just see. So here we have the pastime of the killing of the demon Aghasura. And as usual, the boys are playing in the forest, and they came across this incredible demon, some demoniac yogi who has transformed himself into this incredible size, incredible shape of a great serpent who is blocking the path, practically speaking. And the boys are now talking about this. This looks fun. And we've already heard a bit of a description of his form. He's assumed this wonderful python's body. His mouth like a big cave in the mountains. He lay down on the road, hoping to swallow Krishna and his associates, the coward boys. This is another cohort of Kamsa, and the brother also of Putana and Bakasura. They have some things in common. So the boys are looking at his lower lip, rested on the surface of the earth, and his upper lip was touching the clouds in the sky. I don't know who gave class yesterday, but there's been no purports for quite some time. Who gave class yesterday? But there were no purports for quite a few verses. So.
Very short.
Oh yeah, a teeny one for 19. Teeny one for 19, but nothing for 20. The borders of his mouth resembled the size of a big cave in a mountain, and the middle of his mouth was as dark as possible. His tongue resembled a broad traffic way. His breath was like a warm wind, and his eyes blazed like fire. Upon seeing this demon's wonderful form, which resembled a great python, the boys thought it must be a beautiful, scenic spot of Vrindavan. Thereafter they imagined it to be similar to the mouth of a great python. In other words, the boys, unafraid, thought that it was a statue made in the shape of a great python for the enjoyment of their pastimes. They could only visualize pleasure, you could say. Everything they saw was a source of fun. When Krishna's in the center of one's life, you could say that's how it is. There is no fear. Huh? There's nothing to be afraid of. Everything is fun. Spiritual word means everything is fun. Everything is ananda, full of bliss. The boys said, "Dear friends, is this creature dead, or it is actually a living python, with its mouth spread wide just to swallow us? Kindly clear up this doubt." Thereafter they decided, "Dear friends, this is certainly an animal sitting here to swallow us all. Its upper lip resembles a cloud reddened by the sunshine, and its lower lip resembles the reddish shadows of a cloud. On the left and right," today's verse, "on the left and right, the two depressions, resembling mountain caves, are the corners of its mouth, and the high mountain peaks are its teeth." You can imagine how big it is. Huge creature. In length and breadth, the animal's tongue resembled a broad traffic way. Next verse. "And the inside of its mouth is very, very dark, like a cave in a mountain." It's also quite a normal, let's say, reaction of young boys together when there's something. They can be very adventurous. There are different types of boys, but some of them are very, very adventurous, and they're always looking for something maybe a little bit risky, a little bit unknown. You know, people like this, don't they? Maybe when they're in it, they don't feel the same way. But we like to go on adventures into the unknown. You watch it on the movies, huh? Some maybe replica of this type of pastime almost. You're going into this dangerous scenario. And the next verse, text 23, "The hot fiery wind is the breath coming out of its mouth, which is giving off the bad smell of burning flesh because of all the dead bodies he has eaten." Then the boys said, "Has this living creature come to swallow us? If he does so, he will immediately be killed like Bakasura without delay." They were confident. They have no fear. I don't know if we would be, without taking shelter of Krishna, of the same mindset that the boys had. They had no fear. It was all fun. Like devotees going on Sankirtan in dangerous places. They may sometimes go into such places, but they have confidence that Krishna will protect us. Huh? Thus, they looked at the beautiful face of Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura, and laughing loudly and clapping their hands, they entered the mouth of the python. Little purport by Srila Prabhupada here. So we might just go up to this point, and if we're still here tomorrow, and Krishna wills, we'll continue through with many verses. Prabhupada writes in the purport, this is text 24 if you haven't got it on the screen. After talking about the terrible animal this way and that way, they decided to enter the demon's mouth. They had full faith in Krishna. because they'd experienced how Krishna had saved them from the mouth of Bakasura. Do you remember this demon, Bakasura? Who or what is the Bakasura demon? The word Asura means, what does Asura mean? Pardon? Someone say loudly. A demon. Asura means demon. Sura means like demigod. The Sura dynasty also is there. Sura means like, pious demigod. And when it's in front, it becomes the opposite. Asura means demoniac. So Bakasura. So it's a back demon. Is that right? No. Also Baka. Baka. Huh? Baka Asura. Bakasura. Baka Asura. Who is the Baka? A what? A duck. Quack, quack. Something like a duck. Sometimes it's said a heron. Whatever it is, it's a bird with a sharp beak anyway, a big one. Giant. It wasn't just a little thing. You have ducks in here in the lake. You have ducks in Philippines?
Yes, we have.
On the lake sometimes, huh? In Rizal or somewhere. Huh?
Near Laguna Lake. There are many ducks.
Near Laguna Beach?
Laguna Lake.
Laguna Lake. Okay. Some ducks are there. They're not very big. Maybe they have geese also. They're a bit bigger. The geese are, the geese are big. They're geese. Ducks are only about this size normally, maximum. They're very timid. The geese are aggressive. But even a geese is only, so big at most. But this demon was huge, Bakasura. A sharp beak. Another demon friend of Kamsa, who took this form to swallow up Krishna. Bring an end to that enemy of Kamsa. Of course, he tried his level best, but and for a moment, you could say he thought he succeeded. But Krishna finished him off, and now we're hearing about this Bakasura. Now, here was another Asura, Agasura. What does Aga mean? Aga Asura. Aga. Aga. Aga Asura. He's the Aga demon. Huh? Pardon? What you say? Python? No, not exactly. Most of these names are given to describe their characteristics, you could say. Many times in history we see names which are given traditionally, that's the same thing with Krishna, spiritually, are according to a person's character. They would select it like that. Astrology would be given, and a certain character chart would be there. Names would be chosen accordingly. So this particular demon, Aga, there's a very famous verse, Kechit Kevalaya Bhaktya Vasudeva Prana Agam Dunvansi Karshnyena Niharam Iva Bhaskaraha. Anyway, without getting into the verses, a little related but not that related, that this word Aga means sin. Very sinful. Extremely sinful. Aga. The sinful demon. The sinful demon. So this is Agasura. Therefore, they wanted to enjoy the sport. They saw it as a sport. Prabhupada wrote a letter, I remember one time, he wrote this letter with Sankirtan party we had in England, and he wrote a letter in January 73, and saying, although it is very, very austere, traveling Sankirtan, that meant we were sleeping in a van, back of a vehicle at night. The temperature outside would, especially in January, be below freezing. And we had no proper heating, nothing. Taking baths in the cold water outside, sometimes in the freezing lakes. And going on the street all day, sometimes getting arrested or harassed, etc. But Prabhupada said, for you it's simply fun. Simply fun. So the boys there, we saw that this was the best way to please Prabhupada by going out and distributing books. So Prabhupada said, for you it's simply fun. So they also thought this is like a sport. The sport, Prabhupada mentions here, the sport of entering the demon's mouth and being saved by Krishna, the enemy of Bakasura. That's the end of the purport. So why does Krishna, well, we do hear in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 4th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, reasons why Krishna appears in this world. Why does he appear? Why does he appear in this world? Protect the devotees, yeah. And we'll see this manifest in this pastime. How Krishna, almost amazing, absolutely incredible, how he protects the devotees. We'll hear that later. Because they decided to enter into his mouth. Not the sort of thing, probably, and certainly someone who's not fearless wouldn't want to do that. Huge, dark as ink inside his mouth, black, jet black. Couldn't see anything inside his mouth, except for the outside part, the teeth, which looked like mountain peaks, sharp like razors. Horrible, ghastly smell coming out. Huge, many miles high, even longer. Big, fat demon who would scream and run for our lives, probably. Even you see a cockroach sometimes, the ladies scream, right? If a big snake were to come in here now, I don't think you have many snakes in Manila itself, but it would be pretty scary, to most of us. A big poisonous, deadly poisonous snake. How would you feel? Have you ever had that? You open the door of the bathroom, there's a big snake there. Ever had that? In the Philippines you may have had that experience, if you live in the provinces particularly. In France we don't have such an experience. You may have a big spider sometimes. Huh? Yeah, they're not poisonous, they're just good. Little bit, but not, huh? Are there deadly ones? Are there really? Which ones? Oh, the viper, yeah, you have some vipers are there. Yeah, the viper is poisonous, but you don't see them very often. Pardon?
They are very scared.
They are more scared than we are. They hide, they run for their lives. Most snakes are like that, but this Aghasura was not like that. This Aghasura was out for war. He was on the war path. He wasn't scared. He was overwhelmed with pride. He was determined. So let's read a little bit about this is something from Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Bhaktivinoda Thakur wrote one book called Chaitanya Sikshastakam. Have any of you read this book, Mahendra Prabhu? Chaitanya Sikshastakam by Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Srila Prabhupada doesn't refer to it much, but he does refer to this book. It's an amazing book, and you'll see that much of It follows a very similar thread in many ways to Nectar of Devotion. One of those books where Bhaktivinoda Thakur puts into reality, you could say reality, puts into context the teachings of our acharyas in a practical way, according to our present time and circumstance. Connecting all the various facets of our society with devotional service. It's almost like somebody is looking down on the world and can see how that can be directed towards the higher purposes. Incredible presentation. And in there, he also talks about the removal of anarthas. So in that, which is of course a major step in our spiritual lives, so he brings in this subject matter of the demons in Krishna Lila. And this is a summary of it, more or less. Not a summary, but written in a way which is not word for word. The demons manifesting in Braj Gokul on earth have symbolic significance. They're not found in the spiritual world. There they appear only as rumors or impressions, not actual threats. But it is described, I've forgotten where, can't remember, but it is described by our acharyas that Yogamaya does create, like you do on the what do they call it, on the computer. It's not reality. It's what they call it, virtual reality. It's, you almost enter into it, right? You almost feel you're there. You get almost the same emotions. But there's nothing really to be afraid of. Well, you could say all kinds of fictional presentations, films, horror movies, all these things in one sense are like that. There's nothing really to be afraid of, but it creates that picture within our hearts, and we have a certain emotional reaction to what we see, although there's no direct danger involved. So sometimes it's said that Yogamaya does create these various demons in Goloka Vrindavan. They're not really demons, they just appear like that, as it's said here, impressions. And they have that pastimes of killing whatever, Agasura, just for fun. Pure fun. There's no question of any danger involved. There's no threat. It's like you have a meal. Now, I don't know, these are just empty trays, or did you cook something? Empty ones, okay. So you won't get much pleasure within those trays unless they're filled up with some food. When you see the trays over there, you start thinking, maybe you start sniffing, and you're thinking, right? Something's coming. It will be shortly, don't worry. Now, in that meal, let's take, for instance, if it's, what do you have for breakfast? Khichdi or what? Khichdi? What do they have for breakfast? Normally. What do they serve? Huh? Sabji. Okay, let's take a sabji. What is sabji?
Mixed vegetables.
Okay, mixed vegetables. So you just boil the mixed vegetables and bring them out here. The potatoes and whatever else you have. Cabbage. Just boil them and put them there. Is that going to satisfy you completely? It's a sabji. You wanted sabji? Here's a sabji. Is it going to completely satisfy us? What do you think? Maybe somebody who's doing some vrata, like Mahendra Prabhu, maybe he'll be completely satisfied just with boiled vegetables. Will you be completely satisfied?
Yeah.
Why? Why not?
Those who are on diet.
Huh?
Those who are serving diet.
Those are what?
Serving diet.
Diet maybe. But even still, is it really, really nice boiled potatoes? You could say yes, but you've got to think a bit deeper. Huh? Why? Why is it not so nice?
Do not satisfy me.
Louder? What did he say? There's so much. The fan or whatever it is here is like roaring. No taste. Well, there's some taste there. But the taste is not completely satisfying, is it?
Yes.
Why? No spices. Okay, there we go. No spices. It would be easy if you didn't have to make spices. Anyone could cook, right?
Yes.
There's no ghee, no oil, no spices, no salt, nothing. Just boiled potatoes. And boiled rice. You're lucky you got rice. Boiled rice. And pakoras with no spices in them. Just not even pakoras, they're just boiled in water. I've seen that happen actually. It's not tasty. Now what is the most important thing in terms of our health? Maybe both are important. But in a kind of quantitative way. The vegetables and rice or the little salt that goes in? You can live on salt? No. But you can live on vegetables and rice. There is, elements are there. May not be tongue satisfying, but elements are there in their natural form. So you need a little spice in there. So in the pastimes also, although it's not the primary, a rasa or relationship, killing demons, or having that bit of fun, in boyhood pastimes. You don't find this in the other pastimes, but in the sakyaras, you'll find this kind of mixture in there. It's like a little spice in the meal. It makes it more flavorful or more exciting. Otherwise it's boring. Every day. And the other unique feature about sakyaras in the Gokula Vrindavan is that sakyaras has Yoga Maya behaves in such a way that the same pastime can take place over and over again as if it never existed before. It's ever fresh. We could say to a certain extent every day you may be coming to the morning program. It's pretty much the same thing every day, isn't it? Pretty much. You could say, blimey, this is boring. Don't you guys do anything different? You can sing the same blooming song every day. Don't you get bored? You sit there mumbling on the same beads, the same, you call it a mantra, whatever you call it, every day. It's every day of the life. Don't you do anything else? There was one television program just now in France. They're very much against the cults. We're considered a cult in France, the government. So they put this television program, anti-cult program on, and it didn't show faces, it just showed from here down the devotees. You could see the dhotis and the madanga going and the kartal dancing in the temple room. This is one of the, cults, blah, blah, blah. Did you see it, Dinatai? You have to watch it. You have to watch it. It was just last month put out on French TV. I don't think we were the only one, but they were showing the dangers of cults. And they said this cult, all day long, they simply pray. Would you like your child to go into a situation where that's what they do?
We're referring to Hare Krishna.
Well, that's another thing. But you're becoming like a zombie or a robot. But isn't that what churches are supposed to be doing? Isn't that what Jesus was doing? Isn't that what you're supposed to be doing if you're supposedly religious? They don't see it like that. They're so atheistic and so anti-spirituality and religiosity. It's actually a credit if that's what they You know, that's what they picked up. They sent a detective in disguise of a volunteer to New Mayapur. He was actually just there to see. And there was one. Then they said there's this one old man who's like the beady eye who sits in the corner of the temple and gets on everyone's case. You know who that is? He sits at the back of the temple, an old man there, and he's watching everything. You know who that is, don't you? Padma. I think they spoke to him, and they said when they do talk, they talk about conspiracy only, conspiracy theories, and so on. They just spoke to people like that. Yeah. He wasn't. Nobody knew he was a detective. Everyone thought he was a volunteer. He was behaving like like anybody else. We may have thought, oh, he's a volunteer. Is very interested in Krishna consciousness. He'd come into the morning program, chanting on beads. He did all these things. Joined in the kirtan, but he was videoing it and making comments. It was a profession. He was employed by the government. They check it out, and he concluded, this is very dangerous because they're all day long praying. I wish we were. Anyway, he did pick up on other things. But like that, the demon, he sneaks in, he gets this impression. So people may think, this is dangerous, this is boring. What are you guys doing? But why do you do it? Is it that boring? Obviously not. Otherwise I don't think we would do it if it was that boring. People don't know. There's more to it than meets the eye, so to speak. They might think Krishna's pastimes every day, the same blooming thing going on. Isn't there anything else you can talk about? But they're not. It's ever fresh. It's hard to conceive of it. And each time the pastime becomes, or the interaction becomes even deeper and sweeter. In material world, things have their beginning and end, and there's a law called the law of diminishing returns. After a while, the same thing, the result gets lesser and lesser. But not in Krishna's pastimes. It gets ever... You see, if you read the Bhagavatam, that Parikshit Maharaj is getting more and more excited as you go through it. I want to hear more and more and more. Tell me more, tell me more. More and more and more. You're getting very enlivened. Very enlivened to hear. You want to go deeper and deeper and deeper. We're just, as we mentioned last night, we're kind of on the surface of Vrindavan when we go there. But if you're really lucky to hear, you want to go deeper, you want to find out more. Tell me more about this place, isn't it? Well, tell me more, and more, and more, and more. If you like somebody, you want to know about them, right? Who are they? Who's that amazing guy or girl? Tell me more about them. In the material world, it may only have a limited amount of depth, but spiritually there's no limit. When you dig deep into people's character, you find a lot of dirt, a lot of unsavory things. But in Krishna's pastime, everything is very savory. So these pastimes of killing demons are just like spice in the main preparation. They add taste to the main, they enhance the taste of the actual rasa. And in the Sakya rasa, or the relationship of friendship, it adds this spice of intrigue and, excitement. Boys, they like some challenge, some excitement, some fun. They like, the girls are scared stiff. The boys sometimes, your boys, they purposely do things to scare the girls, right? Ah! Then the boys laugh and they have a great time, seeing the girls run and cry. And the boys is, yeah, let's go for it. Even in this world we see this. So what to speak of the transcendental plane. So this is, as I say, has its reasons too, not just for the fun, for the pastimes. The conditioned souls who are afraid, who are disturbed by the material energy, who are covered over by various anarthas, can become fearless, purified, etc., of the various characteristics or the that which is represented by these various demons. So let's hear some of them. The demons manifesting in Vraj Gokul, that means on this planet Earth, have symbolic significance. They are not found in the spiritual world. We heard that already. By reading these, they're called Naimitika. Naimitika, there's Nitya Lila and Naimitika Lila. Nitya Lila means the eternal pastimes of the spiritual realm. And then there's Naimitika, which are the mixture in this realm. They don't appear in the spiritual realm, so to speak, or Goloka, in reality, but they appear in the pastime for fun. But here they appear, demons actually enter in, and they try to stop the pastimes of Krishna. They are against Krishna. A demon is one who is actually against the Lord. It's not just somebody who's ignorant or somebody who's, never heard of it before. They're in ignorance. But the persons who are actively against. Now, persons who follow those who are actively against become demoniac also. So our business is to preach to the persons like that who are misled by the demoniac mentality. Most of the leadership of today is demoniac. And most of the people are following that demoniac leadership. And most of the demoniac leadership is against the spreading of Krishna consciousness. And against religion even. Anything which puts the Lord in the science is mostly demoniac. It takes God out of the picture, mostly. That doesn't mean all scientists are like that. Many of them are theistic. But the actual conclusion, generally speaking, is of an atheistic, demoniac nature. By reading these Naimitika pastimes, occasional leelas, of killing the various demons, now don't forget, the demons mentioned in Braj Leela, in Krishna, in Bhagavatam, Krishna book like that, are only a few. Prabhupada said that Krishna generally on a normal day when he'd go out with his friends would kill at least 1 or 2 demons before Prasadam. So obviously you can understand there were a lot more demons than just the ones we hear about. Or he could recreate the same demon if he wanted to, of course. His Yogamaya wanted to. But there were probably many demons we never hear. These are just the prominent ones. Bhagavatam only gives us a tip of the unlimited. It's described that the Bhagavatam in millions upon millions of verses in the higher planets. So by hearing these pastimes, these killing of demons, the sadhaka, or the practitioner, purifies his heart of all the impediments, obstacles, anarthas, aparads, or offenses. So it has a practical purpose. It's not just a very exciting pastime, an enjoyable pastime for those who are on that level of consciousness, story which we can tell. No, it has a very significant practical purpose also. Then one becomes eligible. When these anarthas are removed, one becomes eligible to read, reflect upon, and taste the Ashtakaliya Leelas of Radha Krishna. So without removal of the anarthas, we have no eligibility to really enter into the pastimes of Radha Krishna. Until one reaches the platform of Bhava Bhakti, that means ecstatic, pure devotion, it is necessary to cultivate devotion by meditating on both the Namitika pastimes and, this is on a higher level, we're not on that level even yet, nowhere near, but at least we can meditate on whatever pastimes of Krishna our acharyas have given us, and specifically Srila Prabhupada. By reading and remembering these pastimes, one gets a taste of the loving mood of devotional service in the pure sense of pure rasa, pure relationship. An attraction towards it. We want to have it. It creates a desire for those things. By understanding and appreciating the Namitika Leelas, a devotee will destroy all the obstacles to tasting the Bhakti Ras within Radha Krishna's eternal pastimes. There are many obstacles that may come up. They have to be destroyed, and one of the ways that they're destroyed is by hearing these Naimitika pastimes, these occasional pastimes of destroying demons. With a sincere desire to become purified of all material contaminations, one should read all the below mentioned pastimes from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. With all humility, one should pray to Krishna and Balaram to remove the impurities within oneself personified by the demons whom they killed. The demons killed by Krishna in the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam represent anarthas, which means impurities or obstacles, preventing a devotee from attaining pure love for Radha and Krishna. These undesirable impurities and demoniac qualities must be completely uprooted from the core of one's heart. Only cent% pure devotees of Krishna can live eternally in Vrindavan, blissfully serving the divine couple. If a devotee cries out humbly and sincerely to Lord Sri Krishna to remove these demoniac qualities which are represented by the demons killed by Lord Krishna, then Sri Krishna himself will remove those evils. It's not only just reading it or hearing it, it's the attitude which we have. It's an attitude of humility and dependence, crying. We have like a child crying for its mother. It's given up. It hasn't given up. It doesn't have any other source of shelter. No other way. Totally dependent upon the mother for protection, for maintenance, everything. His whole life is basically focused around that. The mother's love and comforting. So a devotee Prabhupada says we should chant just like a child crying for its mother. We probably don't, but that's how we should chant. It's not that we're the master of the holy name, the master of sadhana, the master of this or that. No matter how much we may try to master the process of devotion, Krishna will not reveal himself. He reveals himself when the heart is meek and humble. And when we're crying like a child crying, we have no other shelter. Sarva dharma parityajya, giving up every other kind of shelter. And completely depend, just like the boys. They didn't think we can protect ourselves. We don't have to worry. No, because Krishna's with us, we don't have to worry. We have nothing to worry about. Krishna will look after us. We completely surrender to Krishna. I know you could say, why are they doing this? This is very unusual. Well, that we'll hear later on. This particular Shaktis of the Lord are in play here to enhance the overall purpose of the Lord's pastimes. This is a mystery. Krishna will remove. When we take shelter of him, he'll remove those. We can't do it on our own. We may try, but we cannot. It's the attitude of dependence on Krishna. But the devotees must personally work, but there are some things we have to personally work on. Ultimately, the mercy of Krishna also, which causes their removal, but we have to make a sincere endeavor in certain areas. But the devotees must personally work to drive out the anarthas represented by the demons killed by Lord Balaram. That we'll hear more later. This is a mystery of Braj Bhajan. The aspirant must personally remove these strong impediments with his best care and efforts, and by obtaining the mercy of Krishna. If the devotee's humility becomes very deep and intense, Krishna will be merciful. In that case, the feeling of Lord Balaram will arise in his mind and quickly destroy these demoniac qualities. Then one will gradually improve his cultivation of bhajan, meaning hearing, chanting and meditating on the pastimes of Lord Krishna. So from this we can understand that the significance of these pastimes is not just a purification, we could say, just by hearing there, but it goes much deeper. If we want to progress in spiritual life, we do have to go a little deeper than just the surface. Generally speaking, sometimes the jewels, the real valuable jewels, come to the surface, but usually you have to dig down. Like in the ocean, pearls will not be found on the surface, generally speaking. If you're going to find valuable things in the ocean, you have to go right deep down. Down on the ground level or wherever they are, deep down in the ocean. On the surface, all you'll get are fish. You'll just get a bunch of fish. You won't get the jewels. So we have to be willing to go deep. It may not happen immediately, but eventually we have to realize this. Go deeper in our devotion. If we really want the real jewels of bhakti, the pure devotional service, love of Godhead. So I'm going to finish there for today. Tomorrow we'll deal with specifics, if we're still here, on Krishna Lila. And I'll try to look up. These are just, I would say, they're not in systematic order. So I've got another one which is more systematic. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Any questions? Dhanataipo.
What you read from Bhaktivinoda understood that by ourselves we cannot remove the anatta, but also he said that we should walk to
Endeavor. We should sincerely endeavor. Sincerely endeavor. Yes and no. You may work very hard to get a degree, but you cannot get a degree on your own. University degree. It has to be rewarded, right? By the education department. You may work very hard. That doesn't mean you automatically have a degree. But if you don't work very hard, you won't get rewarded either. As they surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So you can give the easy example, which is usually given of Mother Yasoda, who endeavored very intensely to bind Krishna, but she couldn't do it. It's only when Krishna decided, okay, now I will show mercy, and he allowed her to bind him. So like that. We don't just endeavor with our own concocted idea, but we endeavor according to the direction of Krishna. So that's another form of mercy. This is Balaram. Balaram is the Guru. He tells us or reveals to us the process of purification given by the spiritual master, by Krishna himself. So we dedicate ourselves to that process and depend upon Krishna for the result. Ultimately it depends on Krishna. We try to be attentive when we chant, but it's not Daivi Heshigunamai. The material energy is very strong. Only by Krishna's grace can we overcome it. So we make our effort, and Krishna reciprocates by removing Shushrosha Danasya Vasudeva Gataruchi. By serving those devotees who are freed of all vice, great service is done. By such service, one can develop an attraction for hearing the messages of Godhead, and as we develop that attraction, Krishna removes the anarthas, or the abhadras within the heart, the unwanted desires. Krishna removes. But we have to make our effort to serve the instruction of Balaram. We have to make that endeavor. We don't generally get honored, what they call honorary degree in English. Without any effort, we get the result. You have to make the effort. But the effort alone is not the main thing. Is you're rewarded by the authority. They recognize you by your sincere endeavors, following the right process, and then you get the result. Does it make sense or not? Anything else? Ashara.
Guru Maharaj, how are we going to develop a strong taste in chanting?
How to develop a strong taste in chanting? Well, you could look at that in various ways, but generally speaking, you get a taste. Prabhupada gave an example. One devotee asked that question, and Prabhupada said, how do you develop a taste for drinking? Now he's not referring to water, he's referring to liquor. I don't suppose you are a liquor drinker. You don't look like a liquor drinker. But some of you do. Some of us may have been liquor drinkers in our young lives. Huh? You may have liked it or not liked it, but some of us may. So Prabhupada said, how do you develop, when you say a strong desire, we mean, also that will include a taste for liquor. And Prabhupada said, you associate with drunkards. You drink, and you also become a drunkard. You become addicted. So he said, you associate with chanters, and you chant, you'll also become a chanter. Or enchanted. By association. Everything depends more or less on association. Association has many different levels. Positive and negative, of course, are the first, you could say, major division. How much we associate on the devotional side and on the non-devotional side. As long as we're mixing. Let's take an example. Maybe you don't have the same thing here, but in most parts of the world we have a preparation called sweet rice. Now sweet rice, I don't know, I can't say I've ever tasted what I would call sweet rice here. There's something like it. But sweet rice is a delectable means extremely delicious preparation if prepared properly. If it's not prepared properly, it's neither here nor there. It's just rice, milk and sugar mixed together. But that's not what it is. It is a very, very special preparation, which is cooked. When we used to cook sweet rice, we would start at 10 o'clock at night and finish at 5 in the morning. 7 hours cooking. All night the sweet rice would cook. Then we would refrigerate it, having taken it off the stove. It would be like condensed. The rice would be translucent. That means you could literally see it. It was just suspended in this creamy, translucent, but still liquefied milk, condensed milk, kind of creamy preparation. And for different results, you put the sugar in at different times, and you put the flavoring in at different times to give it different effects, etc. And then sometimes we'd add frozen strawberries and various things to the preparation. The best one of all, believe it or not, is oranges. Can you imagine putting oranges in sweet rice? You can. We would then have devotees spending hours removing each and every globule from the orange independently. Teeny little globule this size. Thousands and thousands of them. When the sweet rice was fully cooked and very cold, we would then mix these globules into it. Oh, you cannot believe the taste. It's out of this world. It wasn't just, throw the rice in the milk, stir it as quickly as you can at 5,000 degrees centigrade, and, boil it, and it's still floating in the top, and throw some sugar in, and there's your sweet rice. And you've got, rice at the bottom, milk at the top, and the whole thing's 10 times sweeter than it should be. Which is often the case nowadays. You do it at the last minute. It's not the way we do things. But it's like for Krishna, it's got to be absolutely sublime. And woof, after tasting that. Now, I have experienced that. Mistakes were made. I probably told before some funny stories of mistakes that have been made in preparations, but I won't tell them today. But you can imagine. Now some preparations, take a Simply Wonderful. Now you know what a Simply Wonderful is?
Yes.
Now if you make a Simply Wonderful, what do you use?
Milk.
Pardon?
Powdered milk.
Okay. Very fine powdered milk. We used to use the baby milk powder, not the ordinary one, because that's very soft and smooth and very like chalk powder. It creates a much more, let's say, softer effect. It's Simply Wonderful. It's like cream. Okay. And what else do you use? Butter. You have to have butter in there. Okay. You have to choose unsalted butter. Not ghee, unsalted butter. It has a very deep and, taste to it. And what else? You have to have the right proportions, okay. What else?
Peanuts, if you want.
Huh?
Peanuts or raisin sugar.
You can do that if you want, but let's just get the core three items. You can flavor it in different ways. You've got milk powder, you've got butter. Is that going to make us simply wonderful? Nothing else?
Sugar.
What type of sugar? Pardon? What type of sugar?
Ice sugar.
I have to be louder, I can't hear.
I think it's called ice sugar.
Icing sugar in the West, confectionery sugar or icing sugar. It is, again, it's just like chalk powder. Completely, there's no granules whatsoever. It's completely powdered. So soft, you rub it like this, it just floats in the air almost. These three things. Now, it so happens, there's another ingredient, not of Simply Wonderfuls. It's called citric acid. Have you heard of citric acid? Sometimes you use it to make curd. Not a recommend because it's not pure. If you're making curd with milk, best use lemon juice or something like that, because then you can use the whey. The whey is the best part of making the curd, not the balls of cheese, but the whey. That's where the life is, in the whey. But we often waste the whey, we throw it away. Away with the whey. But that's the best, that's the really valuable part of it, the liquid. And we'd use every drop of that liquid. Anyway, back to the Simply Wonderful. Now, that citric acid, which curdles the milk very quickly and very easily, it looks in maybe different forms. You can get it in granule form, you can get it in powdered form, just like confectionery sugar or icing sugar. On occasion, mistakes have been made. Instead of icing sugar, they put citric acid. Now, can you imagine the taste? Can you imagine the taste? Absolutely horrible. Abominable taste. Yuck. Ugh. What is this? You're all excited. The citric acid, the Simply Wonderful is on the plate. It looks exactly like a proper Simply Wonderful. You would not be able to tell the difference by looking, even smelling, even touching. It looks exactly the same. It comes all the way to the tongue, and you've got this whole picture of a Simply Wonderful about to enter into the cave and go into the stomach of Agasura, just about to enter. You're all excited, and the first bite. Oh, what is this? You spit it out. This is not a Simply Wonderful, it is simply awful full. What is this? Who made this? The first thing you'll say. Who made these? Right? If you mix the wrong thing. Same if you put salt instead of sugar into the sweet rice. What a taste you'll get is rice you put salt in, but not in sweet rice. It has a horrible effect. It tastes horrible. Because we're mixing in our devotion. So you don't get that taste. You don't get that effect. You don't become strong. We're weak, we're mixed. Weak. So that's the general thing, how we can become stronger. So that's by association. And also there are many other aspects to that. We could probably go on for quite a while on that one. But other effects, as we just heard actually, we have to desire. If you sincerely desire, what will you do? If you desire something, what will you do? Will you just leave it at desire?
Make an effort.
You'll make an effort. Let's say you desire money. You'll make an effort to make money. You won't just desire it. But you have to find out what is. You don't if you're intelligent anyway, you don't whimsically go about it. You try to learn how to do it to make money, according to your capacity. So you go to somebody who may be able to give you guidance. Why do you go to school? Why do you go to some courses on this thing and that thing? You're hoping to get some knowledge which you can apply. So you go to somebody who has the knowledge of how to achieve that. You inquire. If you want money, you have to get it from money. You can't get money out of nowhere. You have to go somewhere where money is available, the stock market or something. So you go to a place where, if you want Krishna, love of Krishna, you have to go to someone who's got love of Krishna. And it may not be direct, it may be coming through, as is in our case. Srila Prabhupada is passing it through his books, through his association, and as much as possible we try to hear from those who have more advancement in Krishna consciousness. It's not like, okay, here you are, bop, and that's the end of it. They give us the means by where we can make money. Just like when you go to the course or whatever it is, they don't give you money. I need to make money. Okay, here you go. How much do you want? They don't do that. They teach us how to do it. That is the special effect of association. And you have to want it. So we pray. We understand that love, ultimately love, where is repose. Radharani is the ultimate, you can say, repository of love of Krishna. So we approach her through her representatives, begging for that pure devotional service. We make an effort. We try to good association on many levels, not just external, but internal. Many desires coming and going in our hearts. We try to cultivate favorable desires. We try to read favorable things. We try to hear favorable things. There will be many tests in our lives which destroy our enthusiasm. We try to avoid association with devotees who have a problem with fault-finding, criticizing, blah, blah, blah. There's no shortage of such opportunities of deviations, or let's say misdirecting our heart's intentions. It does not help the heart to become soft. The heart has to become purely softened. It means humble, meek, mild, etc. By hearing negative comments and criticisms and fault-finding and you name it. Don't hear it. If it's going on, just avoid it. Don't hear those things. They do no good to no one. So there are many tests which may come, and we take shelter of Krishna. Learning to take shelter of Krishna. By His grace, and by the grace of the pure devotees of the Lord, who give us the means to cultivate this pure devotional service, the sadhana which they give us, one can gradually, by the grace of Krishna, progress and become stronger and stronger and stronger. When there's a coward boys in of themselves, well, they are in one sense strong, but in of themselves they're not strong. Arjuna was not strong in the battle of Kurukshetra compared to other fighters, but because he took shelter of Krishna, he was victorious. So you become strong when we take shelter of the strong. Take shelter of Krishna. Hare Krishna. Okay, we have to finish there at 9:30. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Gaura Premanandi Ibo.